Hey guys, I was not planning on making a video on this especially, but for whatever reason, the first thing that hit me when I woke up this morning after having crazy dreams about running around junkyards and crashing into each other with army style Jeep tank things, I had no idea what was going on. But the first thing that hit me when I woke up this morning really was Mount St. Helens. Don't ask me why. I'm just saying. So I thought to myself, what about Mount St. Helens? And for whatever reason, something else came to me saying, look at the lava. So I just spent about 10 minutes, not even, looking into Mount St. Helens lava. Now you can Google Mount St. Helens lava flows. You can look for images. You can look for lava rock. You can look for all these things and you end up finding none. I searched out and I found the ape caves, which just happens to go so well with volcanic activities and evolution and dinosaurs. Ape caves. Ape caves. So monkeys made caves, or they just call them ape caves because they found monkey bones. I didn't look into that. I don't really care, but it just seems to be something that's indoctrination-y. So I thought to myself, okay, so I gave up on going on to Google and trying to search on it because it was all USGS and Scientific Magazine. So then I said, you know what, let me YouTube it. And I found a family that went down into these ape caves, which were the lava tubes that led out from Mount St. Helens. So Mount St. Helens, back in the 80s, back when I was just like 1 year old, blew its top, and because of the lava pressure buildup, exploded the top of the mountain off, and then the lava conveniently found itself a nice cave to go into, and it flowed down this cave. Now, the problem when you go into these caves is there's no lights, so they're dark. So people are carrying lanterns and floodlights and flashlights, and they're looking at the walls, and they're black. That's fine. But there's also black beaches there in Washington State. So there's black rock. Now, you look at the rock, there's no proof that it's lava rock. And the rock in these caves, if you've ever seen the rocks, lava rock itself or lava rocks in Hawaii, it's either very molten and smooth or it's very aerated, like foam, like very open, airy, foam. And when you look at these videos of like the ash piles and stuff like that, they're not even black rock. So then I started saying, well, I just want to see the videos of the eruption and anything else that has to deal with it. And you can't see one lava flow. Now you look at scientific magazines and they'll show pictures. And then you click on those pictures and it talks about the 5 deadliest volcanoes in the world. And Mount St. Helens, one of them. Mount Rainier could be a second one. But instead of showing lava flows out of Mount St. Helens, there's none. Now again, you start looking around Mount St. Helens presently, and there's white granite rock and all that kind of stuff, but there's not lava rock. There's no and that's the thing with the ape caves. You go into those ape caves, and you figure if there's lava flowing that could have helped carve out these caves, it would have filled up the caves. But instead, they're round, big open caves. So the lava just flew in and floated right out, and it's gone. Where's the lava? Where's the lava from Mount St. Helens? What did they do? Mount St. Helens is right outside of Seattle. What was that video that I was showing you guys yesterday? It was Seattle. What did they do to Mount St. Helens? They blew it up. They blew it up to be a part of this whole thing, because that's the way this has been working through their evil empire. I have no doubt. This is my own opinion. They blew up the mountain on purpose so that it could be a focal point for generations. And what are they going to do now? Mount Rainier. If you've ever seen Seattle and you look outside, Mount Rainier is humongous right outside of Seattle. What do they have to do? Well, if they blew up, if you've seen any volcano blow up, it blows up and it has a flume, it has a fiery, going, but instead Mount St. Helens didn't act like any other volcano. It blew up and that was it. Now, if you've ever seen the volcano that happened, I think it was down in, it was either South America or in the Caribbean islands, when a volcano goes into that catastrophic explosion where it has that huge cloud of hundreds of degree gas that shoots out of it. If you've ever seen Dante's Peak, at the end when he's running from the explosion of the mountain and they drive themselves into a mining cave and it kind of protects them as it collapses around them. That was the only way they were going to get out of that whole situation. So you look at that style of an explosion of a volcano, that's the worst case scenario. Mount St. Helens didn't do that. It popped once and that was it. And I believe there might have been some hikers or something like that that got caught in the crosshairs. And it's a very broken up, vague story, yet it's the biggest, deadliest gun in the world that happened in America. The volcano, boom. But when you research it, I don't know why I even thought about this, but now I've looked into it, and you can't prove it was a volcano. You can't prove there's no lava rock. You can't go, you go to the sites and just try to search around it. Look up lava rock Mount St. Helens. You can't find anything. I saw some picture they showed and it looked like white and gray and yellow rock all kind of granulated and put together. There's something fishy about the whole thing is all I'm saying. And when you look into it, you can't prove there was a volcanic eruption that happened there. So now you've got Mount Rainier is the second volcano that's there that they're warning about in articles I've seen, and it happens to be right outside of Seattle. What's out there also? Amazon's out there. There's all sorts of things when you look into Amazon that in their main office I believe is there, and I think they have another one in California, but in Seattle I've seen videos that people have put out that talks about how they're using cell phones and doing experiments even on their own employees, because even the security guards, they can click a button and it can say headache, it can say anxiety, it can say sad, angry, mad, and they can click that button and then they sit there and watch the employee as it happens. Now I have no proof of this, but I've seen videos that seem to highlight something like that. And I've seen news organizations go and stand on the sidewalk outside the building at the street, and Amazon calls the cops on them to tell them to get off their property. The cops show up and say, we can't do anything. They're not doing anything wrong. You're calling on these people for what? Look up that. There's something about Mount Rainier I think we have to look at. And I put that video out yesterday about the asteroid, but it could be a volcano. I'm just going to put this out there like that. If you guys think that this sounds ridiculous or crazy because go and look it up. It took me about 5 or 10 minutes, and when I started looking into it, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything that pointed to there was an actual volcanic eruption that happened there. We had the volcanoes that were happening in Hawaii spewing out lava and lava flumes and all that jazz for I think it was 2 months. Lava was pushing people off the island. And now, looking into this, Mount St. Helens, for whatever reason, now I found this. It's perplexing, but maybe it all has something to do and tie together. So I'm gonna cut this off. Word of the wise, guys. Something's fishy about this whole scenario, and the more that know about this, the better. I don't know if Seattle is gonna have any problem whatsoever. Nobody's had any problems in America really whatsoever with any kind of natural disasters in a long time, other than flooding in the Midwest, the California fires. Something like that. It is what it is. But nothing as catastrophic as an explosion. And when you look at the Mount St. Helens thing, it could have just been them blowing up a mountain to see what kind of destructive force they could engineer, like putting a firecracker in your hand. It'll blow your fingers off. But you put a firecracker in your hand and it does nothing. It'll singe your hand maybe at the most. I've had fireworks in my hand trying to get ready to throw them as a kid, and luckily I was in the process of getting rid of it instead of holding it on tightly. I probably would have blown my fingers off, but I remember trying to throw it over a fence to get rid of one time because I had nowhere to throw it, and it blew up in my hand. And luckily I didn't lose my fingers. But other kids had gripped on that firecracker tight. That thing's going to explode, and no matter what's in its way. So you put some sort of a detonation into a mountain packed tight and blow it up, it's got to go somewhere. So that is possible. That's all I'm saying. I got no proof other than I can't prove it. Word of the wise.